Is The Rock running for president? Texas bans COVID vaccine mandates. And what really caused thousands of Southwest flights to be canceled. That and more on this week's Headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Good news from the Taliban. They've announced they've been able to control threats from ISIS terrorists. The ISIS spin-off group, ISIS-K, was responsible for a series of attacks in Afghanistan. Thank goodness they're being contained by the Taliban, who were responsible for a series of attacks in Afghanistan. This is like finding out that someone avoided getting hepatitis because they already had their liver forcibly removed with equipment left behind by the US military. Have you heard of a keyword warrant? It's a new type of search warrant that compels search engines, such as Google, to disclose information on users that entered certain search terms. And it's a violation of the Constitution, according to experts. The executive director of the Surveillance Technology Oversight Project said, keyword warrants are a blatantly unconstitutional way to transform every Google search into a government tracking tool. I have to agree. The last thing you need is the government looking into what you're doing online. It's hard enough explaining your search history to your wife. It's just for research, honey. That said, I am in favor of immediately locking up anyone whose primary search engine is Bing, because they're obviously robots in disguise. I know. I did my research. As the government apparently also knows. Speaking of things being revealed on the internet, we've learned that Vice President Kamala Harris's new YouTube series aimed at children actually uses child actors. Get Curious with Vice President Harris is intended to inspire and get children interested in space.
You know, one of the most important pieces of advice that I can offer you guys, and I want you to really remember this. Never let anybody tell you who you are. You tell them who you are. Never let anybody suggest to you that you are what they think you should be. You tell them who you are and who you know you are and what you intend to be. Got that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I got more advice. You just let me know.
While many criticize Harris for using child actors as another example of her being disingenuous, I think we can use this to our advantage. Maybe we could get her to visit the border more often if we tell her those kids in detention facilities are also actors. Show the Vice President your headshot, sweetheart. Meanwhile, the White House has denied hiring child actors for Harris's YouTube special. To be clear, the White House is not denying that these kids are child actors, because they are. That's been confirmed by the father of one of the kids, who also went into detail about the casting process. The White House is just denying hiring the actors themselves. They blamed it on YouTube instead. Just another example of the Biden-Harris administration blaming everything bad that happens on social media. Speaking of actors and people who want to be president, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson told Vanity Fair he has done a small amount of research and analysis into running for president. Johnson also said, "I don't know the first thing about policy. I may have some decent leadership qualities, but that doesn't necessarily make me a great presidential candidate." If you're wondering why Johnson might run for president despite acknowledging he doesn't know what he's doing, it's because no matter how bad the idea may be, The Rock never turns down a role. Never. And never means never. But President The Rock might be just what this country needs. After all, when has a rich celebrity with no prior political experience ever divided the nation? Of course, Donald Trump was more qualified than The Rock. And that's because, and this is true, between the two of them, Trump is the only one who's in the WWE Hall of Fame. Yes, this is the world we live in. And after the break, a different big rock could lead to disaster. Welcome back. Starting this week, several asteroids larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza will closely pass by the Earth. The closest asteroid will come within 2.1 million miles of our planet on October 20th. That's less than 9 times the distance from the Earth to the Moon. And in March of this year, a 3,000-foot wide asteroid came even closer, within just 1.2 million miles of Earth. While it sounds scary that these giant objects are coming so close to where we live, you have nothing to fear. Considering what a mess the Earth is right now, and how it's literally surrounded by garbage, Earth is considered the bad neighborhood of the solar system, and nothing wants to visit us. So we don't have to be afraid of asteroids. We just have to be afraid of, well, everything else. Speaking of trouble in nature, wildfire officers in Colorado freed an elk from a tire that had been around its neck for over 2 years. The officers had tried multiple times to remove the tire, but were unable to, due to the complexity of the procedure and other elks being nearby. They finally succeeded in the task thanks to the other elks being preoccupied during their mating season. And because it was mating season, the elk in the tire was eager to get it removed, since it's hard to reproduce while wearing a rubber. Speaking of reproducing, the Biden administration is again urging courts to suspend Texas's Senate Bill 8, which allows private citizens to sue anyone receiving or performing abortions after a heartbeat is detected. The Justice Department said, if Texas's scheme is permissible, no constitutional right is safe from state-sanctioned sabotage of this kind. And Planned Parenthood said that patients denied service in Texas are fleeing to an overwhelming staff in Oklahoma. Now, this is historic, as it marks the first time in U.S. history that people are actually excited to take a trip to Oklahoma. Texas's Senate Bill 8 is unique in that enforcement is left solely to private citizens, who are given $10,000 for successfully suing anyone who has received or aided in providing an abortion. The Biden administration is opposed to this law because Joe Biden believes in my body, my choice. Meanwhile, Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed an executive order banning all COVID-19 vaccine mandates, even for private businesses. Governor Abbott opposes President Biden strong-arming citizens into receiving this vaccine because he believes in my body, my choice. You know, I'm tired of politicians using the my body, my choice argument only when it's convenient for them. If you truly believe in bodily autonomy, then you have to support it, even for things that no one could possibly get behind, such as this tattoo. His terrible body, his terrible choice. In the Texas executive order, Governor Abbott said, in another instance of federal overreach, the Biden administration is now bullying many private entities into imposing COVID-19 vaccine mandates, causing workforce disruptions that threaten Texas's continued recovery from the COVID-19 disaster. That's right, Abbott is using government overreach to stop government overreach. This will probably lead to Biden using some form of government overreach to nullify Abbott's government overreach that nullified Biden's original government overreach. With this much government stepping into our lives, now is a good time to check in and see how your libertarian friends are doing. They're probably crying into the weed they're growing in their basements. And after the break, you better get used to paying more for ketchup. Welcome back. Kraft Heinz Chief Executive Miguel Patricio said that they will be raising prices where necessary around the world, and that people will need to get used to higher food prices. Patricio said this because, specifically in the UK, with the lack of truck drivers. In the US, logistic costs also increased substantially, and there's a shortage of labor in certain areas of the economy. So, food prices are going up because of a lack of workers. And since 4.3 million workers in America quit their jobs in August alone, this is an issue that won't be resolved anytime soon. This is a real catch-22, since fewer people working means fewer people will be able to afford higher-priced food. So unless this worker shortage is solved, it looks like people won't be able to continue enjoying delicacies like ketchup noodles? Ugh. This is such a culinary abortion that if you were in Texas, you could sue the person who made this for $10,000. What's even sadder is that despite how fast we're seeing inflation rise, wages never seem to catch up. I know that joke might not have cut the mustard with some of you, but I relish a good pun. One thing worker shortages aren't affecting are Southwest airline flight cancellations. At least that's if you believe Southwest's CEO, who claims these cancellations aren't related to protests against the company's COVID vaccine mandate. Southwest canceled over 350 flights and delayed around 600 on Monday alone. And that's after canceling nearly 2,000 flights over the weekend. Some conservatives, like Texas Senator Ted Cruz, blamed these cancellations on a sick-out in protest of the company's vaccine mandate. Cruz was mocked for this by White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, who pointed out this vaccine mandate wasn't in effect yet. Cruz responded to this on Twitter, saying he heard from a very credible and senior source in aviation that there was a sick-out of air traffic controllers in Jacksonville over vaccine mandates. So Cruz is reporting whatever he wants and only citing anonymous, very credible senior sources. Allow me to be the first to congratulate Ted Cruz on joining CNN. Southwest Airlines CEO Gary Kelly called these flight cancellations operational challenges that were caused by a traffic management program imposed by the Federal Aviation Administration in Florida, where many Southwest flights operate out of. While these cancellations must have been frustrating, I can't argue with any policy that tries to keep things from getting into or out of Florida. Sounds like good policy to me. While Southwest CEO claims these cancellations had nothing to do with a worker protest, they began after the Southwest Pilot Union asked a court to block the company's vaccine mandate. While that timing is pretty suspicious, I don't think it's proof. After all, when have Southwest pilots ever been on time for anything? The president of the Southwest Pilot Union doesn't blame the cancellations on COVID vaccine mandate protests either. He blames how Southwest manages their network, saying, once a little hiccup occurs due to the internal processes, our pilots aren't getting to where they need to be. We've been sounding this alarm for about 4 years and have seen very little approach to correcting it. Oh, so these cancellations aren't due to a protest after all. It's just good old-fashioned incompetence. Just what you like to see from a company that operates thousands of 80-ton machines flying 40,000 feet in the air at 500 miles per hour. Yet another reason why asteroids probably don't want to come anywhere near our skies. So what do you think about the stories we covered this week? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, America Uncovered is supported mainly by viewers. Be sure to visit patreon.com/AmericaUncovered. Contribute $1 or more per episode. We rely on your support to help us keep making great episodes. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.